Hey guys, my name is Katie, and I just wanted to talk to you today about my thoughts on the new Disney live action Snow White remake. I know this movie has been getting a lot of criticism from its use of CGI and Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot's comments and their relationship, but I actually went and saw this, and you may not like this, but I actually kind of liked the movie. So I'm just going to break it all down for you. I know Disney live action remakes are getting a little tiresome, and some people may not be as receptive to them as they maybe have in the past. And let's be honest, it's really tough to top that magical feeling you saw when you saw these movies for the first time as a kid. And very few live action remakes have actually done that. Is this one of them? Well, that's up to you to decide. But as for me, I feel like this was a definite improvement on the original story and the original tale. Where this falls within the Disney live action remakes, I'd probably put it somewhere in the middle. Yeah. There are some I may like a little bit more than this one, and some I may not like as much as this one, believe it or not. And there's still a few live action remakes I haven't seen yet. And still, I feel like we're getting a little tired of the Disney live action remakes. I think after Lilo and Stitch, they need to cool it with the live action remakes for a while. I'll admit, there are some I would be curious to see in a live action or CGI format, like maybe Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules. I know those may still be in process right now, or those are still in the works right now. I also am curious about Bambi and Brother Bear. I mean, those would be just more Jon Favreau CGI type films, but I guess I'm haven't completely ruled them out yet. But still, I feel like Disney needs to take a break with them for a while. I wanted to say that I respect everyone's opinions, and you definitely have the right to feel what you feel about this movie. But I will not be tolerating any slander against Rachel Zegler or Gal Gadot or any hateful comments in the comment section below. So please keep that in mind. Please try to be respectful of everyone's opinions around here. And I'm not going to get into a lot of political issues because this isn't going to be that kind of channel. So just keep that in mind, and please be respectful in the comment section below. One of the things I really liked about this movie versus the original is that it gives us a lot more backstory into Snow White and her childhood and her relationship with her biological parents, which was completely absent from the original movie. We get to see more of the kingdom and its people and how happy she was with her parents before the evil queen arrived and it all went downhill. And as the name Evil Queen implies, she's not a very nice queen. And she's not a very good queen, especially to her people. And she just only cares about herself and her beauty and how far she'll go to achieve the highest form of power. And she doesn't care who she hurts in the process. And that's the main difference between her and Snow White, because Snow White cares about everyone. The animals, the people, the dwarves, and she cares about everyone. The queen only cares about herself. I also liked how they gave Snow White's love interest. In the original, he's a prince, but here he's a bandit named Jonathan. A bit more screen time, more of a story, more of a personality, and more time for him and Snow White to get to know each other and go head to head a bit and eventually fall in love. And he still has to wake her up with a kiss. But I think that consent issue that so many of y'all are worried about is taken care of in the song "A Hand Meets a Hand," because they sang the line, "If I go off to some strange world, wake me with a kiss," or something like that. So I think that takes care of that issue there. And they really get to see how the other half has lived, and they may have their opinions based on what they see at first, but once they really get to know each other and really discover what everyone is willing to sacrifice to achieve a common goal of a better kingdom and a better life for people in the kingdom. That's when they really start to make a connection and fall in love. Another thing I really liked about this movie is the music, because Disney just cannot go wrong with their music. And they hired some of the greatest songwriters on the scene, Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, who have worked on projects like The Greatest Showman, La La Land, and Dear Evan Hansen, if that were to give you any idea of their level of talent, to write and compose several new songs for this movie. I really liked Where the Good Things Grow. I think that's a great way to open the movie and to show everyone what the kingdom is like, and to show what Snow White and her family are like, and what they want for her when she becomes queen, and how Snow White just wants to be that person that her parents want her to be. And I also really liked the new love song, A Hand Meets a Hand. I think that's a cute little, I kind of like you, no I don't, yeah I do kind of song that really fits Snow White and Jonathan and their situation. And let's see. The new lyrics to Hi Ho were okay, I guess. And let's see. And of course, Waiting on a Wish. That's a great new song, a great new Disney I Want song, and a great song for Rachel Zegler to sing, because like her or not, she can sing, so you might as well deal with that. And one critique I will go into for music and casting was Gal Gadot, because I guess I've always wondered if the Evil Queen should have a villain song, and All Is Fair really says that she shouldn't. Sorry, Gal, hate to break it to you, but you're not a singer. And you're actually a pretty attractive person, so I don't know why Disney cast you to play the role of a jealous stepmother who's envious of her stepdaughter's beauty, because you're a pretty attractive person on your own. And the acting, she kind of goes back and forth between serious and comedic and over the top, and there may be some actors who could have pulled that off with a little more nuance than Gal Gadot can. And the song Princess Problems gets stuck in my head a lot, and I like how it's a song where the character Jonathan sort of gets to mock not just Snow White herself, but probably the Disney princess trope in general, and how Snow White kind of butts heads with him on him being selfish and what they think is good for the kingdom, and he kind of feels like he has to give her a wake-up call that things are pretty bad in the kingdom right now and she should talk to the queen. But this is where it doesn't really make sense, because she already tried to talk to the queen when Jonathan was stealing potatoes from the palace, and he saw that her words had little to no impact on the queen, and she already gets a sense of how bad things are for the villagers out there. Also, not to mention, Snow White literally just told Jonathan that the queen is trying to kill her, and when he first met her, he didn't even recognize her as the princess. He thought she was just a scullery maid, and her being forced to work as a scullery maid in the palace and be mistreated by her stepmother, and he just writes those off as princess problems. I mean, it is a common thing amongst some princesses, but still, Jonathan, have a little more compassion than that. And like I said, I like how the song sort of pits together Jonathan's cynicism or realism, whatever you want to call it, and Snow White's, I guess you could call it optimism, and what she wants and what she thinks is ideal for her people, and how Jonathan at this point just doesn't see that as a possibility and that no one will listen to them. And then that's when things start to turn for them when they really get to know each other a bit better and see what they're willing to fight for the sake of the kingdom. And I also really liked Snow White Returns because now she's got the whole kingdom behind her and she feels finally self-actualized and confident in her ability to be the kind of leader that her parents wanted her to be. And as for the updates on the old songs, let's see. I really liked this new Whistle While You Work. I feel like it was the scene that paid the most homage to the original and really made you feel that childlike magic you did when you saw it for the first time with the original. And I love how the dwarves get their own lines in it. And let's see, I also like the new lyrics to Hi Ho are okay. It still gives you a bit of an intro of who the dwarves are. And they still have this magical power where they can find gems in the mines, but they only use that once and it doesn't really come up again, so why have it in the first place? And they still had a bit of that silly song or the yodel song, but I wish that had been a bit longer. Would have been nice to see them all dancing along to it like they did in the original for a little bit longer. The thing I agree on when it comes to the criticism of this movie is the use of CGI for all the dwarves, when it would have been just as easy to cast 7 actors with dwarfism in these roles. And they also had another actor who had dwarfism play one of the bandits, one of Jonathan's friends, but only one actor with dwarfism actually voiced some of the dwarves, so that doesn't really make sense. I mean, come on, Disney, you can just as easily cast 7 actors with dwarfism and dress them up like the dwarves, and they can all sing and dance and have a merry time. I know Peter Dinklage made some comments on that, but with all due respect to Peter Dinklage, who put you in charge of the dwarfism community? And if there are actors with dwarfism who want to play these 7 iconic dwarves, please let them play these 7 iconic dwarves. And yeah, sometimes the CGI just felt a bit too much with the dwarves, and it was not always easy to tell them apart. Like Grumpy, he's grumpy all the time, so that's pretty easy. And Dopey, he has these big floppy ears, and he was pretty easy to tell apart. And Doc had the glasses. Bashful had a red beard. And let's see, that leaves Sleepy, Sneezy, and Happy. Happy had a darker beard too, and a little bit chubbier. But yeah, I guess Sleepy and Sneezy were the hardest for me to tell apart. And Dopey, he finally gets a voice. After 88 years of not talking, he finally gets a voice. And it's said that the reason he doesn't speak is because he's afraid to, because all the dwarves pick on him a lot. Like how and Snow White emphasizes with this, because her stepmother, the queen, is mean to her too. But she still found a way to speak, and she teaches Dopey how to whistle. And then, after she wakes up, he finally gets the courage to speak. So, way to go, Dopey. We've been waiting for you to talk, buddy. Let's see, some things I wish we could have seen a little bit more of. I feel like we could have gotten a bit more backstory on Jonathan and the bandits, how they came together, and how they fight and raid and pillage in the name of the king. And let's see, I wish we could have seen just a little bit more of Snow White's childhood with her parents, and then how it all goes bad when the evil queen comes to power. And I feel like the scene where Snow White returns gets a lot of hate because she basically just recognizes all the guards and who they were in her childhood and talks them into remembering what the good times were like under her father. But I wasn't too surprised with that. I kind of had a feeling she was going to do something like that because of what I saw with Princess Jasmine in the live action Aladdin, how she was able to convince the guard to stick with her and her father instead of shifting loyalty to Jafar. And I feel like a good leader should have very good persuasive skills. Whether they use that for good or evil is up to them. I guess I also feel like the ending and how the evil queen was defeated could have been done a bit better, because Snow White already has the bandits and the dwarves and the whole town behind her, and she just got the guards on her side because I'm pretty sure they're sick of the queen at this point, and since they all know that the queen killed Snow White's father, they just can no longer stand by her and watch her drive the kingdom into ruin. And the mirror, good thing for the mirror, actually reiterated what I said earlier, is that Snow White's kindness and the way she treats others makes her more fair than the queen, more fair than the queen ever was and ever will be. But I guess I didn't expect her to smash the mirror and then get sucked in with it for her to be defeated. But hey, I guess some things have to happen a bit differently for the live action remakes. And I also thought it was pretty cool that the queen challenged Snow White to kill her, but Snow White just couldn't do it. She just is not going to stoop to the queen's level, and that's pretty cool of her. All in all, I think the movie wrapped things up pretty nicely with Snow White and Jonathan getting married, which we didn't get to see in the original film with her and the prince. But I feel like they could have done a better job with Snow White and Jonathan's wedding wardrobe. I mean, come on, Disney. And Dopey is the narrator. Also, everyone else is dressed in white. And I don't know how things worked in medieval England or Germany or wherever the story's supposed to take place, but I'm pretty sure only the bride's supposed to wear white, because we wouldn't want to upstage her now, would we? So, anyway, I left the movie theater feeling pretty happy and just had a good feeling in me. And that's how I really feel about this movie. I know I said I'm not going to tolerate any Rachel Zegler slander on this channel because I think she's a very beautiful and talented young actress and singer. But I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't comment on some of her comments on the movies. I mean, overall, I feel like she could have handled them with a little more grace, especially towards her co-stars Gal and Andrew. And I know that her and Gal are on opposing sides of the Israel-Palestine conflict, and I'm sure that played a role in however they interacted on set, but I'm just going to let them have their own political beliefs. And I guess either way, some things from the original movie have not aged well. Do I think she was right to call the prince a stalker? No, not really. But like I said, I feel like this movie is a bit of an improvement on that because he gets more screen time and more interaction with Snow White, and they have their own love song where she says he can wake her with a kiss, and that's what he does. And I also liked that Snow White, she was tricked into eating the poison apple, but she was more manipulated into it by the hag who told her that she knew her father and remembered how good things were under him. So she really played to Snow White's weaknesses of the memory of her father and her newfound love for Jonathan, who the queen had just captured to give the apple to Snow White. And we really see her struggling while she's eating the poison apple, while the queen reveals that she killed Snow White's father, and Snow White is able to catch on too late that the hag is the queen. And I guess overall, I feel like we could have a little more sympathy and compassion for Rachel Zegler, because I don't think she had complete say over everything that went on in this movie. And sometimes I don't know if she even knew what she was signing up for when she signed on to it. But I hope she's learned her lesson, and I feel like we can all empathize with her especially if we ever feel like we've been in places where we've been set up to fail. I know I have a few times, but I feel like I really hope she's learned her lesson, and things seem to be looking up for her with Evita, so I'm wishing her all the luck in the world. So anyway, if you liked this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if you want to see any more videos from me in the future. And I'm very open to suggestions, so please Leave suggestions in the comments below. And once again, please be respectful in the comments. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.